Big T has graced us with his presence again, JSU. How exciting is this? Lots going on. We're excited about this. We got a thunder lineup that literally just popped. Diallo, Williams, Roby, Baisley, Horford.
Roby. My core's ready on DK if you want to talk about him.
What do you got, Big T? Let's do it, dude. Tell me what your core is.
Vooch. I'm definitely starting with Vooch at center. I need some safety with all these guys. I think he's got upside too. And Pascal, those are kind of the two guys I need to have in there. And then, so I'm changing the workbench play, and the members will know. I'm going Roby with the workbench. So 3.4, love him. He's got to end up lower owned than the rest of those guys, I would think. He might get some ownership, but he's my favorite play now. Kenrick and Horford they complete the core. And then, since it's members, I mean, you can even take it a little further with these guard spots. I haven't filled out the whole team yet, but like it's Levine and D'Lo, or Lowry and Van Vliet, or you can run through all these guards, Kemba and Beal, and cycle through the guards whoever you want, and it just fits perfect. I think my core, these 5 guys, fits perfectly for mixing in and matching in a bunch of other combinations of people. But I think this 5 really gets you in the area where you can make some decisions on who you like in other spots. I'll probably play Diallo also, but I mean, I'll definitely play Diallo. I should just put Diallo in my core because there's no way I'm not playing Diallo today. They have no guards, so I am definitely playing Diallo.
What is going on, everyone? It's AP over here at Rumpier Sports. We're bringing you the Strokes Game Show. I got my 2 guys, Uncle T, and we got Mangone, who's filling in for Hoop. Hoop is he's coaching basketball or something tonight, so we'll give him the night off. It's all good. We upgraded to Mangone. So let me kick it over to Mangone real quick. How was golf last week? We haven't talked to you on the PGA streets, but you and Hoop do the cash core and everything, which honestly is just a staple. I always look at it, even though I'm a tournament player, because really it's just basically all the best plays on the slate. So you can use it in many different formats. But how was your week last week?
Yeah, not so great for me. I wanted to play Xander over Rom all week long. Like, that was the thing I wanted to do. And then I did the chalk donkey thing. I played some Rom over Xander, and it didn't work out. And of course, like, the slightest of pivots each way, kept changing the lineup where the guy would have done well on the Xander side. The other one missed the cut. So not the best week for me, but that's okay. You can't win every single week, and we're going to get back at it and get in the winner's circle this week.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Before I kick it to my man, Uncle T, I got to ask you guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you're not a member over here at Rumpier Sports, why not? I don't get it. You should be. And use the code Workbench21. It's going to get you 25% off your first payment. Come check us out. We've been on fire. Last week was a phenomenal week in the NBA streets. Like Big T literally almost won, 100K. Back-to-back nights. I mean, it was fantastic. I had a pretty good week as well. And our guy, Uncle T, this was painful. Uncle T had a single bullet. He was sweating 50K, and LeBron definitely hurt his feelings. That was, Thursday night? Same time Big T had that sweat. But Uncle T, I'm going to kick it over to you. Talk to us about your week, and then give us a little preview of what we're going to be looking at course-wise this week.
Yeah, first off, good to be with you guys again this week to break down another golf tournament. Good to have Mangone on here with us, and first show I've done with him, so looking forward to breaking it down with him as well.
I'd love to see it, Uncle T. And you've been killing it. Like, let's pat yourself on the back, Patty Reed. That was a good little call there. So keep it up and keep bringing the winners.
Yeah, we had like AP said just briefly. Yeah, we had a pretty good sweat on that late game with LeBron a couple nights ago, and it was disappointing. Definitely hurt my feelings. They called timeout with I think 3:20 to go in the game, up 15, and me and Big T were texting back and forth. And most of the time they go ahead and give those starters, what I mean, the rest of the game off, and both of us were sitting in first in the 50K and the 100K, but hey, you bounce back, you pick up the pieces and move on in DFS, right? You just, kind of, good karma and try to go back at it. As far as the golf week, other than Danny Berger really, really hurting me, he was on my main team last week, and I had a pretty good squad going. And, the back nine, where most people were doing all their scoring last week, he was +2 on Friday on the back and missed a cut on the number. So that was a little bit hurtful, as our boy JT would say. But I had another team 6 of 6 with Rom, and I think I ended up getting maybe 60th in the main, the big $15 or whatever it was last week, the $20. So all in all, I doubled up my money. It could have been better, but hey, whenever you can double up your money, it's always a good thing. So but no, as far as looking at this week, guys, as far as the number itself, as far as what's under par to win, it's going to be similar to the last couple of weeks. It's going to be another, it sets up to be another birdie fest. So normally the actual heading of the tournament's actually a little misleading because there is no Pro-Am. So normally they run the 3-course rotation with Pebble Beach, obviously Spyglass Hill, and Monterey Peninsula. So with the no Pro-Am, they are ditching the Monterey Peninsula course and just running and it has been a 54-hole cut. Now they're going to just run one round on Pebble, one round on Spyglass, and it'll be a 36-hole cut. So that'll be the difference. So we'll have shot tracker on Pebble Beach. We will not have shot tracker on Spyglass. So that's as far as that goes. As far as the course itself, again, it's a short par 72 course, just over 7,000 yards. So distance, is not going to be an issue here as far as, the length of the course. The fairways are pretty wide open. So for the most part, driving accuracy this week will be pretty high. That being said, the greens are some of the smallest on tour. I don't think they are the smallest, but it's very close. I think they rank maybe 3rd or 4th smallest greens on tour. So what happens there is, obviously, if you're not hitting the greens, we're going to need to try to target and find some guys that are good on their around the green game. So as far as that, so again, I'm looking for good iron players and good players around the green. So trying to think if I got anything else. I think a lot of times too, most of the players won't use driver on some of these holes as well. They'll probably be clubbing down with distance not being an issue. If you can get it out there a little bit further and have shorter irons in, obviously that's a plus, but it's not a must for me this week.
Yeah, great breakdown, Uncle T. Yeah, I agree with all those points. Some people call it a second shot course. The other thing, true POA. And around the, strokes gained around the green is something that I'm always going to look at before we dive into the tiers, because we always break it down tier by tier here. We're going to give you the best play. Then we're going to give you our winners. Speaking of winners, little 45-1 Brooks Koepka. You all made fun, well, not Mangone, but you and Hoop made fun of me last week about the Brooks Koepka call, and man, he got it done, I thought with BK, he's just too good of a golfer to not, turn it around. And he obviously did. And then down the stretch on Sunday, he just got it going. He made 2 eagles. One was a chip in from or a hole out chip in, whatever you want to call it, from 40 or 50 yards out, which was just fantastic. That sealed the deal for him. The other guy, so what really hurt me, I had him and Justin Thomas paired together with a bunch of other guys that made the cut. And man, it just, terrible news for Justin Thomas. He learned about his grandpa, passing away the day of. And I just imagine playing under those conditions. I definitely can't. So definitely feeling for him. But man, it was a good build. It was a good week overall for me after 2 bad weeks in the PGA streets, which was always, it's always tough, but bouncing back, I had a good, 5 or 6X week, which I'm always going to be fine with. Still looking for that big hit. I'm confident, Uncle T. We're gonna get it. You know, we're kind of. You were 2 weeks ago. You were on. Last week I was on. I feel like this week we're gonna put it together and we're gonna get all of the pieces. So let's dive into this first range. We're gonna go. Let's just tackle the 10K and up. I know it's only 3 guys now. Mangone, I'm gonna kick it to you. Talk to me specifically about what you're doing in cash games. And how you're treating this range. Are you fading it and going a balanced approach, or are you locking in someone like Paul Casey or Patrick Cantlay?
Yeah, so I've kind of gone back and forth a bit. I caught the news that DJ was out like right away, and I got some bets in, right? I fired some, and listen, that's something like we got to talk about the bet side a little bit, right? Whenever you can find like a bad number, you got to fire on guys when the WD comes out because they're slow to adjust. And the 2 guys I was like, I think are the best guys at the top. I had a group bet, right? The group bet was Dustin Johnson, who was minus 210, and then it was versus Cantlay, Berger, Casey, and Spieth. And I ended up going with Berger and Cantlay as the 2 guys that I bet because I was basically getting plus 400 on Cantlay and then plus 650 on a guy like Berger, where I think it's a really good bounce back spot for him. Nothing against Paul Casey. I think it's a perfectly fine track for him to play at. A little bit of an older guy. I want to go with these 2 younger guys that have had a pretty good history here. I mean, in 2 events that Berger has played here, he has top 10s. And then Cantlay, his history has been pretty good here as well. And I just think that, listen, if for some reason Dustin Johnson was in this event, Cantlay's price would be fine, but he's not. All these guys are technically mispriced now above that 10K range. They all should be more expensive. If for some reason DJ wasn't in this beforehand, you might have seen Cantlay at 11.5K. You might have seen some of these other guys adjust them, or maybe you would have seen Spieth at 10K and then like Jason Day at 9.8. So you are getting some discounts on these guys. And I think you're getting a pretty nice discount right now on going this double stud build of a Berger and Cantlay. And another reason I kind of like this build is I think that this like 8 and 9K range, I don't think it's one that I'm in love with. I think some of these 7K guys are close enough where I'd rather take shots on them. So I'm currently leaning Cantlay, Berger as 2 of my guys that I like a lot. And then also I'd say Zalatoris is in there as well. It's like those 3 are the ones that I'm really dabbling in on trying to make my core. Like if I could only take, I'd say maybe like 3 guys in that range, those would be the 3. And then that's it. I don't want to be playing, Casey. I don't want to play Spieth. I don't even want to play like Siwoo Kim. I know I'm diving in the 9K range a bit, but I just think that Cantlay is my number 1. Berger's probably my 2. And then Zalatoris is right there. I think he's another phenomenal option.
Yeah, those are good points. And I'm never going to, complain about going the double stud route. That's what I've been doing lately. Last week, it worked out really well for me. And really good points. Uncle T, I'm going to kick it over to you. From a tournament standpoint, I mean, do you agree? Are you locking in 1, maybe try to make 2 work here? What are you doing with these 3 guys up top?
Yeah, man, brought up some good points. On his thought process. For me, I was actually pretty disappointed that DJ withdrew because at 12K, it was a full fade for me right out of the gate. I was not going to play DJ. He was traveling over from the tournament that he won over in Saudi Arabia last week. And I was actually shocked that he was in the tournament. And when I first looked at this field, it just felt like I thought more of the stars were playing in this tournament, and I might have been confused with the one next week, clearly. So when I saw him at 12K and he withdrew, I was disappointed because what that's going to do is that's going to, like Mangone was talking about, it's going to raise the ownership of these guys just below him, even though they're going to be definitely lower price than they would have been if he was out from the beginning. But Cantlay, I'm showing right now at 29 or 30% ownership, and it's Tuesday night. So I got to imagine by Thursday morning, he's going to be upwards of probably mid 30s, which is just crazy. So for me, as much as I like Cantlay, I'm probably not going to land on him, to be honest with you, as of right now. Casey, again, I just can't see paying 10-4 for Casey. He's been playing well. He won a tournament a couple weeks ago, I think, in Abu Dhabi. Comes back over. He's got good course history here. He's got a couple top 10s in his last 3 trips. But for me, I'm just going to go down one more. And a couple of guys I do like that Mangone liked was Berger and Zalatoris. I know Zalatoris is 9,900, but, Berger last week was in my core. I did pick him to win the tournament. But again, with just limited options up here, I know that the price on him, as far as the odds, went from 18-1 down to 12-1 when DJ withdrew. So I think our boy Schneider that helps us out with the playbook and the showdowns on the weekends, he was able to get in a nice bet on Burger I see in the chat. So he was able to get a decent price, I think. So for me, AP, I think really in the top three, the only guy I'm going to have ownership on is Daniel Berger. So I don't know if you want me to slide down to Zalatoris or you want to wait.
Yeah, for me, I'll just make my comments real quick. It's Patrick Cantlay. I just think he is, man, I'm not paying 10.4 for Paul Casey. I know he has good course history here. He's played well, and he's played this event a ton. Daniel Berger, again, I know he is, rock solid. Finished 5th last year. I just think now with Dustin Johnson out of this event, I think Patrick Cantlay is kind of in that tier by himself. And man, he hasn't played in a while, but coming off a second place finish at the Amex, and he just really started to hit the ground running towards the end of last season. I think that's gonna, I think he's gonna carry a lot of that momentum into this season. And just looking at kind of his last 24 rounds, he's been really good around the greens, which, that's going to be, I'm definitely going to overweight that kind of statistic this week. Good ball striker. He struggled there for a little while, especially on approach, but over his last few events, we really saw him dial that in. And so Patrick Cantlay is going to be the guy for me. And I like Berger. I might get some exposure, but I'm definitely fading Paul Casey. Let's go down to this 9K range. I'm going to kick it a man.
Jump in real quick. Yeah, just one last comment to make on Berger. For me, and I don't know how you guys usually treat these, and I think the lesser the golfer, the more volatility you have in your mindset. But for a good golfer like Berger, he's been one of the more consistent guys on tour. I know he broke our heart last week, but coming off that missed cut, I think he could come in a tick under-owned, not under-owned because of the DJ news, but, if Cantlay is going to be above 30 and I can get Berger at maybe 17, 18% and a $1,200 discount from Cantlay, I don't feel like Cantlay is that much better of a golfer than Berger. So for me, you know what I mean? I just wanted to add that, like, one missed cut, I'm not going to, bang a guy for one missed cut when he's been so consistent. So I have no problem going back with Daniel Berger this week, especially in a lesser field.
Yeah, the way he missed the cut too is important, right? Like, he didn't miss the cut and go like 7 over or something. Like, he missed the cut on the number. He had that one tough 9 holes, and Daniel Berger, I still feel safe about him. So I don't have those concerns. I kind of agree with you, Uncle T.
Uncle T, my only argument would be because of the discount you get with Daniel Berger and with how sharp, DFS players are becoming, I don't think you're going to see that much of a difference from an ownership standpoint. I could see Patrick Cantlay potentially. Now, I haven't messed with any builds yet, but if it's going to force us to, pick and choose up top, I could see him ended up being, lower on. But that's to be determined. You make valid points there for sure. And look, go ahead.
So you're talking about construction. You know what's going to happen? So I've already done this and messed around. You're going to put Cantlay and Berger in, and then you're going to be like, oh, this is getting difficult. And then you're going to go from Cantlay to Zalatoris. That's what it feels like. Again, I don't know for sure, but that's like, I noticed when I did some construction. So I feel like personally, like if you told me I had to lock something right now, I would be going Berger and Zalatoris. That would be my personal route. But that's just kind of what the feel is. And I think Cantlay could get a little more under-owned than you think.
Gotcha. Let's kick it down to this 9K range. Mangone, I'll start with you. Talk to me about this range. We got Jason Day, who, has phenomenal course history here. We have Jordan Spieth, who, 9,700 for a guy that we would not even touch at 7K-ish last week. Talk to me about this range. Are you on any of these guys?
So I'm not going to be on the Spieth train. I don't think I don't think I have to do it on this event. And I think it's because I just like Zalatoris more. I think I saw this stat the other day. So I think in the last 19 or 20 events Zalatoris has been in, he's been in the top 20, 17 of the times. I mean, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Hard to argue. And he's longer off the tee than you would expect, right? I was kind of looking at some driving stats, at least of like the past, I think like 8 rounds or 4 rounds. I like to look at that sometimes to see who's maybe rounding into that perfect form. And I mean, Zalatoris has just been absolutely phenomenal. If you look at the card on DK, right? T19, T2, T6, T8, missed cut, T5, T16, the T52 at Mayakoba, and then T7 and T17. Doesn't get better than that. I know the price is up on a guy like Zalatoris. I actually bet his top 20 because of that. I was just like, I think this guy's going to easily hit in there. And he's longer off the tee, which I think you kind of need to be a little bit longer because I think it helps up that second shot a little bit better on this course from some of the stuff I've looked at. And I think he's a phenomenal option. I'll fade Spieth. And another reason I think I might fade Spieth is I might go to an old friend, Mr. Jason Day. He's 9.5K. And like the tournament history on Jason Day is pretty phenomenal. I want to know his ownership. That's always key, right? You don't really want to be playing a 25% owned Jason Day. So I'm curious how that kind of shakes up with the DJ news. But here's his past 4 events. Jason Day, tied for fourth, tied for second, tied for fifth, and then tied for 11th. I mean, it's hard to argue with what Jason Day has done on this course. So I think at 9.5K, if he's going to be lower owned, that's kind of the guy I want to look at. And then I know Molinari has kind of had a bit of a resurgence, and maybe I should consider him more. I'll maybe ask you guys what you think. I'm not huge on Fowler, but I'll take shots on Sammy Burns, man. I like Burns and I like Davis a little bit. I looked at Davis's stats, and if you look, he was one of the best tee to green players in his last 4 rounds that he played. And I feel like tee to green, when you look at like the recent stats on them, that kind of correlates with like rounding into like that great form where players just pop. And I think that Cam Davis at 9K could be really interesting. I don't know how the ownership's going to shake up with the DJ stuff, but like if I told you played like a Jason Day, a Burns, and like a Davis route, or even if you can go Zalatoris over Day, if you go like 3 9K guys, I think that's going to be pretty contrarian and could be a really interesting build.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points there. And like with golf, I know there's people out there that don't believe like course history matters, but it does. Like we all play golf and we all like we're comfortable on certain courses over other courses. Obviously, like now in some cases it gets blown out of the water, but with Jason Day, he's obviously very comfortable at this course. I mean, it's rare to see that type of consistency at an event. So like for me, I love Jason Day this week, but before I get into my comments, Uncle T, talk to me about this range. Are you locking in Spieth this week, man? Or are you going Jason Day?
No, this is actually a strong range for me, and Mangone broke it down very nicely because I have a lot of similar thoughts. But I want to start at the top. I mean, we talked about it 2 weeks ago, and then again last week I talked about Zalatoris. He was 9K last week, and I mentioned on the show, guys, it won't be but a couple weeks, and he's going to be a 10K golfer. And I realize this is a lesser field, but he's up there at 9,900, and this guy's going to be a stud. The only part of his game that I don't care for right now is his putting, but his tee to green and his consistency and the way he strikes the ball. I mean, we're going to be talking about this kid for quite a while. He's got a good build. He's like 6'4", 6'5", and really has a strong game. So for me, I like to build to start with Berger and Zalatoris. So for me, that's might be a route that I go. I can't go to Spieth, I don't believe. He's got good course history. He had a heck of a round on Saturday. What was it, 61 or 62 on Saturday that got him back in the hunt on Sunday, and then he did the old Jordan Spieth. He kind of had one good round, and then he completely faded. So I need to see a little more consistency out of Spieth before I'll be willing to go there. The one guy I do have interest in is Jason Day. Again, all of these guys that are up here in this range, clearly because of the field, they're way overpriced. It's relative to the field. So you got to look at it, you know what I mean, in that way. Jason Day at 9,500, he's coming off, a couple miscuts in a row, and I understand why anybody, or someone wouldn't want to go there. But again, in a field like this, where again, you mentioned it, AP, he's very comfortable with the course. He loves the setup. He's played really well there. So again, you got 5 straight top 11 finishes for a guy of his caliber. I've got him Mangone at 12% right now. I'm not sure how accurate that'll be by Thursday. And if I can get 12% at a day, I think that's a pretty good ownership, percentage. So for me, I like the top couple with Zalatoris and Day. And then I got to go all the way down to the bottom with Burns and Cam Davis as well. Those are the only other 2 guys I'd have interest in. Molinari is interesting. He's had a couple good top 10 finishes. I just maybe need to see it just a little bit more. I don't think he's played this course before, so it's a first time for him. I'm going to probably take a wait and see approach on him. But Sam Burns and Cam Davis, I think Sam Burns was in my core last week, and Sam Burns come up with a T22, which was not bad. So for me, my top 2 guys in this range would probably be Zalatoris 1 and either Day or Burns, probably, in that second range.
Yeah, good comments. And for me, I can keep it pretty simple. Like, I do have some interest in Will Zalatoris. He feels safe. But honestly, I'm looking at starting my builds, Cantlay and Jason Day. I'm going to lean on the course experience. So, like, I'm not going to look at his last two events, miscut. I'm going to wipe him out. I'm not going to look at it at all. I'm going to lean on his elite course history here. He knows this course. He knows the greens. He's phenomenal around the greens, and I'm going to lean on it and trust it. And I'm going to be extremely overweight on that pairing right there. They're two guys like this field is pretty weak when you look at it, top to bottom. It's definitely a weak field and got a way more weaker without Dustin Johnson in here. I can't pay 9.7K for Jordan Spieth. And I don't know if you guys have looked at ownership projections on him. He was 7.5 last week. And he was like 2% up. He's 9.7 this week. Uncle T, what do you think his ownership projections are sitting at?
I'm showing Spieth at 13% right now.
Whew. I mean, I cannot imagine playing Spieth. So no, he's going to be on the fade list. I mean, he showed some signs of looking pretty good. His putter failed him on Sunday. His ball striking was okay, but we saw the old Jordan of late. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to chase. If he beats me, he beats me. So be it. For me in this range, it's Jason Day. I'm not paying 9.4 for Siwoo. I'm not paying 9.4 or 9.3 for Molinari. I'm not playing Ricky Fowler. He just hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked good for a long time. I couldn't imagine paying that for him. And Sam Burns is fine. I don't know. I'm basically going to see if I can get some better plays in this mid-tier range. It's kind of how I'm.
Yeah, last thing I want to mention with Jason Day, so like Lindsay's talking about him in the chat and like about his back. So he got a brand new swing coach. And remember when he went through that stretch where he was absolutely dominating? That's because that was when he got that new swing coach. And no one knew until like 4 events after. And he's basically got this swing coach to help his back. Like that's why he has this guy, because it's like it just helps with the way he swings, and it just made him a better player. So and of course, yeah, he struggled the last couple events, right? But he missed the cut on the waste management barely. And like he had a really bad putting performance there. And that's not what Jason Day struggled at. He's typically a good putter. That's something that can easily flip. And he's a really good around the green player. And you talked about that with him, right? This is a perfect spot where around the green is going to matter because of those small greens where, again, I think he's a really strong play. And again, he's a guy that he's either going to win you the tournament or he's going to bust, right? But if we can get him lower owned, which I'm hoping we can, then I want to be on him, right? These are the spots I want to. And he's a guy, it's perfect when he struggles, right? Because no one wants to play him, and then he pops out of nowhere, and then everyone wants to get on him. We want to get on him early when he's low owned. That's the key with Jason Day.
So before we dive into this next range, guys, I got to say, I got to just go back to our NBA product. Like, one of the big things that we look at is our core plays, and we have our cash chart also. If you went tonight and looked at our core plays, we all played Mason Plumlee. I pulled it up right now. I did not know that we were all on Mason Plumlee. I know JT was on him for his Eiffel Tower play. I just, when I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, Plumlee's 5'8" against the Nets. We got to play him, And then I look up, K Fallick was on him. JT was obviously on him, and Big T was on him. And man, the game's not even over, and he has 48 fantasy points, and he's only 10% owned, which is ridiculous. So shout out again to our NBA product. The guys over there, the whole team has been phenomenal. Mangone and Hoop do our cash charts. And much like PGA, like I look at the cash chart for NBA too. We're going to roll that out for every sport. MLB, we're going to have a cash chart. It's becoming, a staple product, one of my favorite tools to go and look at. And more work for Mangone. I know I can see you over there, Mangone. You're like, God, we can't do any more cash charts. It's just more work for them.
No,
good. You're too good at it, Mangone.
The cash charts have been a printer, right? It's been good time. So I'm excited about it. The PGA one's been good too. So, and the core plays, like just to kind of like, talk about it a little more. I'm not trying to like, just pump us up too much, but like I called my buddy, he was asking me some questions and I had some time before the show. So I figured I'd call him and talk about some of the Spurs news. And he's like, dude, I put in Big T's core and it's an absolute burner right now. I mean, absolutely just going crazy. And he's like trying to ask me, hey, like I'm in a really good spot to like ship some stuff maybe later on. I mean, that's how good it's going. And he's kind of bouncing some ideas off me. So hopefully he can take something down. And I'm sure the members are in great shape. So sign up, get in there. And then we got tons of PGA ones coming up. I know there were tons of screenshots in the PGA side that were out there. And, it's been a good time over here at Run Pure Sports.
Yes, it has. And use the code Workbench21 again for 25% off. We've also partnered with Manscaped. We have a promo code for 20% off and free shipping. Use the code RUNPURE. And if you want a good laugh, go rewatch the show from earlier today. Those guys broke it down for about 5 minutes. Man, I think Tony even talked about getting Uncle T some of these Manscaped clippers. You have to ask him about that when he's Uncle T. Who's buying lunch tomorrow? You guys go out on Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll probably be at lunch with him tomorrow. I was at lunch with him today, and he had them jelly arms when the bill came. He couldn't get that arm up.
No, the alligator arms.
Alligator arms. Yeah, he couldn't get that up quite close. He wins 100K last week, and he can't even buy Uncle T lunch. It's terrible. Hate to see it.
Oh,
he's your uncle. Like you're the uncle. He should be treating you out now. I mean, that you're at that age where he's got to be taking care of you. I mean,
I agree,
come on,
100%.
Oh man, you hate to see it, Uncle T. You hate to see it. Let's get on down to this 8K range. Mangone, I'm going to kick it over to you. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, so the 8K range. Now, this is where it gets kind of dicey, man. Like, I'm not in love with too many guys here, but there's some we can talk about. You can make a case for a Streelman. I don't hate him, but it just feels expensive, right? Max Homa, another one, like feels a little expensive. You can make a case. I just don't know if I want to spend the salary on him. Norlander, it's the same thing, right? If Norlander was maybe like 8.2 or 7.8 in this field, I could maybe get behind it, but 8.7 feels a little pricey. And I think everyone's going to be thinking that way. It's going to feel uncomfortable going to these guys. Same with Tringale, Phil Mickelson. I know Phil has a really good course history here. I have the course history page up, so let me pull it up because Phil's has been phenomenal. He's got over the past 5 years, third, first, tied for second, 65th and second, which like, again, I'm not a huge Phil guy, but the history is great. I don't know if that more so goes with, because this is typically the Pro-Am event where you're playing with, a celebrity, and Phil feels like the perfect guy to play like group golf with and shoot the shit and maybe gamble while it's going on with the other guy next to him. So maybe that could hurt him a little bit. That's something that's kind of came into my mind that might shift some things a bit, but I don't know if I want to pay all these price tags. Where I start to maybe get a little excited is Brandon Steele. He's definitely a great West Coast golfer. I mean, it sounds like such like a fish narrative, but he is always crushed on the West Coast. It's definitely something that I've taken note of. And he did well at the Waste Management last week. He's done well at American Express, Hawaii. I'm going to fire again with him at 8.4. I think it's still okay. I know it feels expensive, but I'm still okay with doing that. And then Brian Harman's one of those guys, 8.2K. He's not too expensive where I think I'm okay diving into him. And the reason why I like him a lot, we like to look at guys and how they're going to finish. Do they finish in the top 10 or the top 20? Brian Harman, he finishes so consistent, but the key is if he gets a top 36, he's not 36th in points because he scores a lot. He's not that guy that just hits a ton of pars. He's great for DK scoring. And he's a guy at 8,200 that if he got you like 25th place, it could in reality be like 12th place when it comes to the scoring system. And it could be enough to get you there at 8,200. So I don't mind going to him. And one last guy I'll mention, I don't hate Matt Jones, but my two favorites in this range, I would say, are Harman and Brandon Steele.
Yeah, those are good mentions for sure. And like for me, I mean, it's kind of a tough range. There's a lot of guys that I'm like, how are they priced up that high? But Uncle T, I know you said you like the 9K. I think you said you like the 8K range. Talk to me about the guys that you are on down here.
Yeah, I think for the most part, everybody that, plays DFS golf every week, the theme this week is clearly we just have to be uncomfortable playing some guys that are priced up. You just have to get by it. And if you like a guy because of the reasons that you did your research or you land on a guy, you can't really look at the price this week. I don't think so. I'm certainly not. That being said, at the top of this range, I understand the Streelman and Homa call. I was on Homa a couple weeks ago. They're both been playing some good golf. Streelman has the good course history. Homa, also good course history, and I think he's on 5 straight made cuts. So not a problem with him at all. Norlander's a guy that I just can't get right. He was, played really well during the towards the end of the fall swing, and then he went really stone cold, and now he's starting to pick it back up again. And honestly, his ownership's starting to pick up again. And for me, I'm going to be out on him. Phil's the interesting one. As of right now, I might have some Phil Mickelson, as crazy as that sounds. And again, it's relative to the field, but at 8,700, I'm a guy that, has had that kind of course history. Clearly he knows this track pretty well. But for me, Mangone mentioned it, Tringali and Steele in the middle of this range are 2 of my favorite plays, actually, of the week. Tringali will never wow you. He'll never really pop in a lot of stats, but he's been playing really well lately. He's had, 4 or 5 straight made cuts. He hasn't had the greatest course history here, but he's a lot different golfer, I think, in the last year. I think he's been playing a lot more consistent golf. I'm okay with going to Tringali, but Brendan Steele is the guy that I like, and I like a guy down a little bit further here I'll talk about in a minute. But Steele, if you look at his ball striking the last 4 or 5 tournaments, he's been spot on. I mean, he has really been striking the ball well and gaining more and more confidence tee to green. His problem is similar to, some guys we have on our bad putting list. He just can't make putts. So if he just has an average week, even above it, a little above average week putting, I think he could easily top 10 this week. And again, in the mid 8Ks, 8,400, I have no problem with that. Brian Harmon is a great point. Mango mentioned again with him, he's just consistent. If you want a guy that's going to finish 15 or 20th, and in this field, maybe a little bit better, 25th, it depends. He's a birdie maker. I don't mind that. But my favorite play in this range, guys, is Matt Jones. I really like Matt Jones. He's probably going to be, take a look at our cord plays. They'll be out hopefully by probably tomorrow afternoon, late evening at the worst tomorrow night. He probably is going to find his way into my core. He's made 8 straight cuts, finished T5 here last year. And he's a guy that I like to play when he's playing well, and he's on a little bit of a run now. Again, 8 straight made cuts. Last week finished 30th, but he's a guy that I'm going to be on in this range. So I actually don't like the top range as much. I like the middle and below. So I guess if you wanted me to give the top 2, it would be Matt Jones and then a tie with Tringali and Brendan Steele.
Yeah, it's a good breakdown. Uncle T, we're kind of on different paths here, which is definitely fine. I was really high on 3 guys, and I think Mangone helped me to break the tiebreaker because I definitely won't be able to play all 3. But it was Kevin Streelman, Max Homa, and Phil Mickelson. And so all right. So let me walk through this real quick. Like, if you look at Streel Daddy, 2nd last year, 7th, 6th, 14th, 17th. The dude has absolutely destroyed this course, playing well right now, always a dependable guy. Good chance he'll be in my core. Max Homa was a guy I was on last week. He was in my main core with Brooks Koepka and Justin Thomas, all made the cut. Homa has not let me down. I mean, he did not finish well last week, but he scored fine for what his price was. He has good course history here. T14, T10, missed the cut before that, but he's played this course quite a bit. And then it was Phil Mickelson, 3rd place, 1st, T2, 65th, 2nd. I love what Mangone said about, how this is usually a pro-am, usually playing with celebrities. We all know Phil loves to gamble, absolutely loves to gamble. They have side games going all the time. And he's definitely a guy, like, I would never play for money on the golf course, because I think it's like probably playing BigT for money on the golf course. Like, you're just, he's going to stroke you up. He's going to make you feel good, and you're going to lose. It's how it is. And so we don't have that aspect of it this week. And I think Mangone's right. That could be a big impact, to Phil. You're not going to have, the big crowds and all that, people watching. I think I'm going to lean Kevin Streelman and Max Homa for my 1 and 2 this week. I don't think I'll be able to make them work, obviously, with Cantlay and Day, if I like those 2 guys. I think I might be able to make one of them work, and then I got to move on and find some punts elsewhere. Or I just got to move off Cantlay, and I got to go Jason Day And then if I go Jason Day, I can definitely fit in Streelman and Max Homa. That could be, honestly, that could be kind of an interesting route this week. I mean, man, as you're looking down this, I mean, this is definitely a weak field. You got tons of guys who are priced where usually we see them priced in the mid 7 or low 7K range, some of them in the 6K range. And so it's going to be an interesting week for sure.
I was just trying to figure out how you're going to fit all them guys in. You like Cantlay and Day and some guys up there. I mean, we live in a world of a salary cap. Remember that, AP, right? And I don't like the 6K range at all. So I like your picks in the top of the 8K range a lot. I just can't get there with the current build I've got.
Yeah, and that's, again, that's one thing. I haven't messed around with any builds yet. And so you're right. Like, it's going to get to, like, Mangone at the start said it perfectly. Like, I'm going to get there and I'm like, oh, crap, I don't like this. And I'm going to have to rework it. That's why I'm going to post my core probably Wednesday night. You'll have it in plenty of time to get on it. But, I mean, I'm not going to give my core play, out on the show. I think I might have gave it away last week when I said I was locking in BK, locking in JT, and then Max Homa. But, we're pretty transparent over here. So let's kick it down to the 7K range. Let's go 7.5 to 7.9 first. Mangone, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, so you said 7.5 to 8K. Is that what it is? Or is it 7K to what's the range?
7.5 to 7.9.
Okay, 7.5 to 7.9.
This is a bigger range. Yep.
Yeah. No, perfect. So the guy that sticks out to me the most in this range is Harold Varner. Again, I heard Uncle T at the top talk about maybe like driving distance doesn't matter as much. I think distance can help guys here because it can get them a little bit closer where it can get them shorter opportunities where like around the green game can come into play more. So I like Varner a bit. I think this course fits him better than you'd expect. And he hasn't played too bad lately. Waste management, he did pretty well. If you look, I like to look at like the really recent stats, like last 4 to 8 rounds. And I like to look at guys and see how they've been doing it, especially tee to green, because I think that just shows all aspects of your game. And Harold Varner, I mean, he is gaining 8.5 strokes when it comes to tee to green. He's struggling when it comes to putting, right? Like in the last 8 rounds I'm looking at here, absolutely struggling. But I mean, Harold Varner, if he does get the putter going, he is going to absolutely do well. Now, my concern is I think he could get more ownership than I would like. And like, I don't love getting on a chalky Harold Varner that much, but something to look at. And he's not bad on POA. So I think this is not a bad spot for a guy like Harold Varner. He's probably my favorite in this entire range if I had to pick. You can make a case for a guy like a Snedeker. I believe the course history is not terrible, but again, I'm not too excited about this range. I think I like the lower 7K range a little more than this. And one last guy I'll mention, I don't hate Patton Kizzire. It seems like his game has gotten a little bit better. I wish he was like maybe 7.4, but again, all these guys are priced up a bit. So 7,600, I'm okay with Patton Kizzire. I was kind of building around making teams, and whenever I fell at 7.6, he was kind of one of the guys I went to.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Uncle T, what about you?
Yeah, good points there by Mangone. It's a range where you're going to be able to, again, from what we've said already previously on this show, depending on our builds up top, we're going to be landing on a few of these guys for sure. Starting at the top of the 9 or 7K range, Chris Kirk, a guy that had been playing really well, a couple, 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, had a miscut last week, and maybe that keeps people off of him a little bit. I don't mind going back to him. Can't play Brandt Snedeker in any scenario, no matter the course form. He's just been so bad the last, year almost. So the guy I will go to is Russell Knox. I know someone in the chat, it might have been Ellis in the chat, was wanting to know about Russell Knox. It's a guy that, pretty good course history here. And again, he's a pretty good ball striker. Doesn't hit it out there very far. And just to kind of piggyback on the point that Mangone made about not necessarily having to be long here. I didn't necessarily say if you were long, it was a problem. I just meant you don't have to be long. And some of the guys like the Days and people like that can bomb it, they'll be clubbing down is all I was saying. So if you can hit it here and you can hit it straight, absolutely. If you have a lower iron in, by all means, that's going to be better for you. So just to kind of, put a cap on that. Wyndham Clark, there's a couple guys, Wyndham Clark and Matt Kuchar in this range have withdrawn. So if you didn't already know that. But Harold Varner is definitely a guy, probably one of my 2 favorite guys in this range for the points that you mentioned earlier. Just a guy that I think he's a guy too that likes certain courses and And he's a guy that last week played pretty well, tee to green. And for him, it's about putting 4 consistent rounds together. So many times we've seen Varner in the lead after 1 round, maybe co-leading after 2 rounds, and then he has a rough round on the weekend. If he could put 4 rounds together in a field like this, I could easily see him again being up in the last couple groups on Sunday. I really could. So I do like the Varner call. As you go down, a couple other guys towards the end of the middle of the 7.5 range are Scott Stallings and Ches Reavie. Now, hear me out on Ches Reavie. It's a guy that I've actually been off quite a bit this year, but he's, on less than driver courses where they're a little bit shorter par 72 courses. Those are where I like to target a guy like Ches Reavie. Really good course history here. He's been in awful form. So if you're a form guy only in just recent form, you might want to click Ches Reavie. But I just think, again, in a field like this, on a course that he's played well, he doesn't have to bomb it off the tee if he doesn't want, and can get hot with the putter. I don't mind Ches Reavie. And Scott Stallings is a guy I typically play on the weekend, in the showdowns, and that might be a good time right now to remind everybody that, the showdown slates have been crushing on RPS the last couple of weeks for sure. Schneider does a great job of putting our playbook together, and I know Hoop and Mangone, AP, we all kind of put our cores up on the weekend. So again, don't forget about, there's plenty of money to be made on the 4-day slate, but don't forget about guys on the showdown slate as well. But Stallings is a guy I like to target sometimes there because he can go low in a 1-round scenario. So, and I think that's it from the 7.5 and above range.
Yeah, for me in this range, I have some interest in like Peter Malnati. He's been making a ton of birdies. His approach game is good. Has decent, history here. Finished T11th last year. Has missed the cuts. Has missed the cut 2 out of the last 5 times he's played. So, I mean, there definitely is some risk there. I like the Russell Knox call. I think the Varner call is interesting. He's a guy last week. I just saw, like, he was cheap last week, really cheap. He was in the 6K range. I don't know if you guys played him or not. I did not. But when I saw him, going up the leaderboard, I was like, damn, how did I miss this guy? I think he was low owned too. I mean, man, did you play him last week, or have any idea what his ownership was?
It was definitely lower. I kind of considered him, but I was a donkey and played Ryan Moore, so that did not work out for me. It did not work out. But hey, listen, Harold Varner, he did do great last week, and it was low owned, Harold Varner last week, and that's why I wonder, like, at this event, it does feel like he could be one of the chalkier options. And I'll say this, like, it does feel gross whenever you open up Harold Varner and you see he's like, I don't know, like 30% owned. Like, you don't love that Harold Varner because he can implode, but it is a pretty good spot for him. So that's something I'm definitely watching on his ownership. I don't care about ownership too much, but I do care when on certain golfers, right? And I care when it's like the cheap chalk, right? I think cheap chalk is better to pivot off of than the higher range chalk and like the good plays.
Yeah, I agree with that. My favorite plays down in this range are all like in the 7.5K range. Doug Gim, 7.5K. He's missed a cut here twice. This is a guy I don't really care about that because he's really coming into form of late. He's made 4 out of the last 5 cuts with some really nice finishes. His game is just all around really good. He's good around the greens, really good ball striker. And, this course isn't very long, so it's going to suit him. He's not a long hitter, but he's an accurate hitter, and he's a very consistent golfer. Ches Reavie, I like the call there. I'm with you on Ches Reavie. Uncle T, I think, he feels safe. Like, I feel like there's a few guys in the 8K range where I would play Ches Reavie over if he was priced in the 8K range. He's just, when you get him on these shorter courses, I know like his form right now sucks. He's missed cut 4 out of the last 5 events, which is never good. But still, this is a guy who can take advantage of the short course. He has good course history here. He finished T2 in 2018 and has finished inside the top 35 4 out of the last 5 years, which is very impressive. So I'll give him a look. Scott Stallings is another guy with really good history. He has 2 top 10 finishes in the last 3 years here. Those came in 2019 and 2018. And his current form is hit or miss, but it's a guy where, this is a value range. And as you guys said, the 6K range kind of goes downhill, very quickly. So for me, if I had to give my 1 and 2, I'm gonna say Doug Gim and Reavie, because Uncle T, you brought up a good point. If I want some of those guys that are priced up top, if I want the Patrick Cantlays of the world, I'm going to need some cheaper guys. And so I could definitely see playing two 7.5K guys in my lineup this week. Mangone, what was your like 1 and 2 in this upper 7K range?
Yeah, I'd say Varner was my 1, and then I kind of like Kazire as my number 2. I think it could be an interesting spot for him. He's been playing a lot better golf, and I think you guys bring up really great points about Scott Stallings, and he has that bad, he had missed cut in the last one, and people might look at that, but he had a 3rd, 7th, and T14. And the other thing I just want to mention with Scott Stallings, like he's a guy that he was like kind of like out of shape, and he's gotten in better shape, past quarantine and stuff. He kind of has like changed his life a little bit, right? And he's played better golf. He's struggling now lately, but I wouldn't be shocked if it kind of flipped. So I like that call by you guys on some Scott Stallings.
Yeah, I like that Kazire call. What about you, Uncle T? You're 1 and 2. I think you slipped it in there, right?
Yeah, my 1 and 2 probably would be either I like 3 guys. I like Knox and I like Reavie. I like Reavie a lot. I'd probably put Reavie as my number 1, and then probably Knox and Stallings is like a 2A, 2B to give people an extra guy.
I like it. Now I got a funny guy down in this range, but I really like him. It's gonna be interesting to see if one of you guys mention him. But I mean, after what I saw last week, with a certain player that was almost in contention, it wouldn't surprise me to see another guy in that range do well. So I'm going to kick it over to you first, Mangone. Lower 7K range.
Yeah, I like Joel Damon a bit. I think he could make some sense. Guys that basically can hit darts on those smaller greens, like that screams Joel Damon. And listen, the only thing about Joel Damon that's a problem is that around the green game can be a disaster. He's definitely like a Ricky Bobby first or last kind of guy. I don't think I'm playing him in cash, but I think he's got the upside at 7.4K. That is interesting. Don't mind Kyle Stanley, but I think Charlie Hoffman is a guy that could be pretty good here. He's a bit longer off the tee, where again, I think targeting some of those guys is going to help them. And Charlie Hoffman's not the most comfortable guy to roster. And he helped me win some of the giblets, maybe like 4 months ago. So I wouldn't mind going back to him. He's helped me out. And I think it could be a decent bounce back spot for him. The course history is not the greatest for him. That is one thing that I have some concerns with. But I don't know. What do you think of the Charlie Hoffman call, Uncle T? Is that crazy?
I mean, I get it. I mean, he's a golfer that can pop here or there. I just not, when you don't have the course history and you're not in great form, he's coming off a couple of miscuts and a withdrawal 3 weeks ago or 3 tournaments ago. I get it. He's a guy that can go low, but probably not going to be for me this week, but I get it.
So can I sell you on some Scott Piercy? That's a guy that I think is like my safer cash game guy that I think is really intriguing that I'm considering. And I think he's a good guy to mix in throughout your tournament lineups as well. I think he has some upside. You're not expecting Scott Piercy to take this thing down, but I could see a top 25 from him very easily and him being on the winning lineup because he's 7.1K.
Mangone, in this field, like Scott Piercy is a phenomenal play. I will definitely play him over Hoffman. I think he's a fantastic play. Like he has such good course history here. Phenomenal mention.
Yeah. I'm definitely, is that the guy that you were talking about, AP? Is it your guy?
No, it's a different guy. Close to that range, but
I think
this guy's a little bit older. But
take a crack at it, Uncle T. So this is you think you got it.
Uncle T knows. I guarantee he knows.
I might be off, but is it Stuart Sink?
No, but that's another good one.
My guess was
Jimmy Furyk.
Oh, not Furyk. My guess
Furyk.
was Ashley, maybe, but oh man.
No, I was talking. Who was that? That almost won my. Who's the old guy? Uncle T. Come on, help me out. Stricker, yeah, Steve Stricker. He was in it, man, right at the end, and so I mean, the old guys are getting it done. Uncle T. Come on, man, you got to get on these plays.
Yeah, I mean, Mangone, you finished, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'll mention Johnny Vegas, like if going on that, hey, if you want to like keep with the bomber angle a little bit, if you have a lineup that you're just firing those guys, and he could make sense, but I'm not in love with him. Not a guy I'm really, you don't see him in my tiers or anything. You might not even see him on one of my teams. I don't hate it, but
are you going back to Ryan Moore?
No, me and Ryan, it's we're gonna have a little break. It was not great, and I can't get behind it now, but I gave it a shot last week. So yeah, that'll wrap it up for me though in this range. It's an okay range. There's a couple of guys here and there, and I like that you're on the Piercy side.
Yeah, I
Uncle
tried.
T?
Yeah, I tried to talk man going off of the Ryan Moore train last week, and I couldn't talk him out of it. But one guy I will go to that you like, Scott Piercy is one of my favorite guys in this range. Again, when we're getting down into this low 7K range, again, we're not going to be able to break down a whole lot to go on some of these guys. There's just nothing there. They don't pop in stats. They got poor course history, or they're in poor form. So again, when we're down here in this range in a lesser field, guys that we're going to mention, I wouldn't say they're dart throws, but again, we have to filter in some of these guys. So Mark Hubbard is a guy that kind of caught my eye right away. He shot a first round, I think it was an 8 under 64, I think last week, and then kind of faded on the weekend, but still finished 30th. And I think he was maybe 65 or 6,600 last week. So Mark Hubbard is a guy that I'm looking at. Michael Thompson is a guy that, before the missed cut, his last outing, he had 3 straight top 25s. I know Hoop is a guy that likes to play him in cash a lot. So I'll be anxious to see or hear if Mangone is on Michael Thompson at all, because he's generally a guy that, again, he's obviously going to be, a lower guy. He might be one of the higher owned guys in this range, just because I do think he's a pretty good golfer and pretty safe. So I would think he might be in some cash teams. But as you go down further to the list, Nate Lashley, I don't mind that call at all. I get the Johnny Vegas call. He's probably just not going to be for me this week. But really for me, it's probably Piercy and Hubbard. And I don't mind the Furyk call, AP, to bring back the old guy narrative. He hasn't played on the PGA Tour in quite a while. He's been playing on the Champions Tour, but obviously playing pretty well over there. So, probably pretty safe to make the cut. He's played here numerous times before, but for me, I'm going to stick with probably just a handful of guys in this range, like the Thompson, Hubbard, Piercy, and maybe some Stuart Sink.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of those guys. I think Joel Damon is probably the best play in this range. I think he should get a ton of ownership, but we'll see. He's missed 3 straight cuts in a row, but we know he's the type of guy that can turn that around real quick. I do like Jimmy Furyk. Look, like short course. I know, all I care about is that he's been playing. And so I haven't been following the Champions Tour, I'll be honest. Like, has he been playing well, hopefully? I mean, he's just a consistent guy. Uncle T, I know you're following the Champions Tour.
I haven't followed it a lot, but I do occasionally watch any golf that's on. I'm a big golf guy, as you know. So
Right.
Again, I think it's a safe play. Again, in this range, there's just not a whole lot to choose from. So I have no problem with it, to be quite honest with you. I think, again, he's a pretty good bet to make the cut. What kind of upside he's got down there at 7,400, probably not much, but I'd much rather go down to like a Scott Piercy or even a Mark Hubbard, who have been playing pretty well on tour.
The other thing to think about, guys, too, is like golf, like these fields are getting stacked. Like some of these players are just phenomenal. And so getting points, like to keep your PGA Tour card and stuff, like if I'm like Scott Piercy looking at this field, you got to think like, hey, this is an event where I can really take advantage of it. And so Scott Piercy, 7,100, I think he's a really phenomenal play. You could even go Vaughn Taylor. He's won this event back in 2016. And honestly, for 7K, like this is another guy where it's like, yeah, his history, of late is not that great, but he's a guy that historically has been very consistent. So I got some, love for Vaughn Taylor. Scott Piercy, I don't know. I might just take a stand and lock him in. I love doing that with like one play down in this range. Just lock him in, find someone else to lock in, and then hope those 2 guys do very well, and then mix and match in all the other ranges. And then, Jimmy Furyk and Joel Damon are the other guys that I have interest in. For me, my 1 and 2, I'm going to say Scott Piercy. I'm going to go Jim Furyk. Real quickly, Mangone, you're 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'd say my 1 and 2 are Piercy's probably my 1. Like him a ton. He's probably my favorite guy there. And then I guess it's Damon, but man, I'd say it's probably Damon as my number 2. I don't know how excited I'll get about him. He definitely gives me flashbacks of whenever I play him, it feels like it never goes well. But I'll go with Piercy as my 1 and Dave as my 2. And just to talk about Big T, or not Big T, Uncle T's point. Sorry to disrespect you like that, Uncle T. Won't happen again. Just wanted to say, Uncle T, Michael Thompson, I don't hate him. I played him a little bit. I haven't played him too much recently, but he's not bad on POA. He struggles the most on bent. So this is actually maybe not a bad spot for him, and I should look a little deeper into him.
Uncle T, 1 and 2 real quick.
Yeah, I hate to make it 3 for 3, but I'm in agreement. I think it sounds like we're all three in agreement on Scott Piercy, and my second guy would be Mark Hubbard. I just think he's going to build off of that. Even though it was just the first round last week at the Waste, but he played pretty well, and I think guys like that can gain some confidence the previous week at that price. I like Mark Hubbard as well.
Very good. Let's get down to the 6K range, and then we'll give our winners, and we'll get out of here. Mangone, I got a play that I really like down in this range. You might be able to figure it out, if you look hard enough. But I'm going to kick it to you first. Talk to me about the 6K range. Where you at?
Is it your boy Chesson Hadley? Is it him?
Yeah, it is. Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He plays good out here at Pebble.
He's let me down a bit. He did help me the last event I was on him, but he definitely hasn't been kind to me as much. But he's turned it around. Sell me on Chesson Hadley before we kind of get going into it, because I need a 6K guy to like. It's not my favorite range, I'll admit. It's
all course history, man. He just, like, when he gets out at Pebble, he plays good out here. I mean, T18, T35, T10. The guy's upside at this course. I'm not looking at anything he's done recently at all. I'm trusting, his performance here. And look, like, he could out, look, like, it's 6K. I mean, you could easily put him into the 7K range, and, it doesn't really change much for me, because all of these guys kind of mix together, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely ugly, right? This is not my favorite range. And of course, if you want to get these studs that we talked about, like, you really have to. If you play, like, I think Cantley and Berger, like, I think you're at a 7.1K per spot, which, like, again, it's super uncomfortable. And you have to, like, kind of dabble into some of these guys down here, which I don't know how much I want to. That's one of the keys. I think I want to try and live in that, like, 7 or 7.1 and above. But yeah, we can talk about him here. So I think that Hadley call is interesting, one that I'll definitely consider to kind of go on, like, maybe, like, if you want to, like, build, like, a team that you think of the Bombers, maybe getting closer could work. Like, Mr. Patrick Rogers is he's Mr. First or Last kind of guy, right? So if you're shooting for that upside, I don't hate that. I think that's certainly in play. I don't hate him. Kevin Chappell feels kind of cheap, and he has decent course history at 6.8K. So I don't mind going there. I know JB Holmes has the interesting course history, but he's another, like, Mr. First or Last kind of guy. I'd say my cheap guy that I like the most, that has, again, decent course history, feels like this course fits him too, playing with your irons a bit, hitting those darts onto those small greens. What about Brian Gay at 6.6K?
Oh, you picked my guy.
Well, hey, Uncle T, it's
good. I was waiting to get my turn.
Uncle T, it's always good when I'm arm in arm with a Niehaus, right? When me and Tony are on the same side, I'm always excited. So, you tell me about Brian Gay then, because I'm a huge fan of him this week.
Yeah, I mean, again, we keep saying it, but we're going to have to sprinkle a couple of these guys in, and it's really uncomfortable. But when you can get a guy at 6,600 that, again, has really good course history, he won, gosh, what was that? The Bermuda, maybe back in October? I can't recall. So, he's been a winner on tour recently. So you're not talking about a total scrub down here where you're, where you're literally hoping for just a made cut. I think if he can make the cut, I think he could maybe T34s maybe down there at 6,600 or so. So yeah, I really like that. And again, when you're trying to find guys down here, it's just uncomfortable. I mean, I looked at a guy, like a JB Holmes, who's been awful, but has good course history. So we're trying to hang our hat on something for us to click that button, right? I mean, you go by history, you go by, current form. And these guys down here, there's just not much to choose from. I don't mind the Patrick Rogers call at all. I might go just a little bit below him. And Denny McCarthy is a guy that I've been playing. Again, he's been bad recently, but he's a decent golfer. And at that price, I don't mind Denny McCarthy. As you go down a little bit, the Chappell call is interesting because he hasn't played in a ton of tournaments, recently. But I don't mind that call. He's got, 3 out of the last 4 trips here. He's made the cut. So I don't mind that. Tyler Duncan is a guy that we've played on showdowns occasionally as well, that will occasionally pop in some of these tournaments and show up on the leaderboard after round 1 or round 2. So Davis Riley, another guy that we can play. The last guy I want to talk about and get your all's opinion on, and I haven't been on him at all, but again, the price, it just feels like we can use him this week, as a guy like Will Gordon. He's super talented, hasn't been able to put it all together yet on tour, but he's an up-and-comer. Again, hasn't put it together, but in a lesser field like this at 6,700, I think we can do a lot worse than Will Gordon at 6,700, a guy that's played a lot of tournaments on tour in his brief career, but he's got a lot of talent, and I may sprinkle in some Will Gordon.
Hey, Pete, what do you think about that? And then I got another like younger guy for you. So I want to get your Will Gordon take, KP.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back to Hadley. Like, I'm leaning on. So, like, what I'm doing this week is leaning on the course history narrative, and I mean, I get Will Gordon. Played him last week in a lineup, missed the cut. He's a bomber, which we're kind of taking away one of his better weapons here. So, I like to call Uncle T. I respect the talent that Gordon has. I don't think I'm going to be getting there. I'd rather go and lean on a guy who's a really good iron player in Chesson Hadley. And I really think that's why he's had success here. And you see it over the last 5 years. And then I think it was the U.S. Open where he played really well when Gary Woodland won it all. Hadley was definitely in the mix there too, and that was at Pebble Beach as well. So I'm going to lead on Chesson Hadley. I like the Brian Gay call. I just put a star by him. I think that makes sense. I mean, if I'm going to play Will Gordon, I might as well give like Christopher Ventura, a try. He's another guy. Like, people keep talking about how talented he is. We haven't seen it. It hasn't really resulted in much. And so I don't know if I'll get there. I mean, you also have Jim Herman. Like, this is a guy who's been playing better of late, good on short courses. I don't know if I'll get there, but it's a name. JB Holmes, a guy that's had a lot of success here. There are some interesting plays in this range. What I'm going to try to do, if possible, is limit it to one guy in this range. I think Mangone, like, if you play two of the studs, you probably need like a Brian Gay and a Chesson Hadley, right?
You need at least one, probably, right? I mean, if you go Cantlay and Berger, you can get away with it if you go the Zalatoris and Berger route and not dip into that range. But I do think if you go up to Cantlay, you're going to need to be getting some 6K guys. What do you think of Andy Ogletree, another young guy? I just looked up, I did some quick research on it. He played here in 2018 as an amateur. And again, like, that's like 3 years ago. So that's a while, especially for the age that he's at. He's like such a young player. So he's probably developed a ton, but Andy Ogletree, he is, young amateur that's rising. Do you have any interest in him in like a really weak field? Like, this is the type of field you'd want to play an amateur at, right? Can I somehow sell you on that as like a low-owned guy that maybe the talent pops one week?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you would have to sell me on it a little more, maybe.
I don't got much more. The reason for
I mean, I'll keep looking.
Yeah,
no, if I like, what's his price?
He's 6'6", so I mean, again, it's an amateur, right? Like, he's supposed to be decent, right? I like to be like in on these amateurs like earlier than later, and it might be too early to get on. I'll keep doing the research on it. If I can find a nugget, I'll post it in the Discord chat. We always got the people talking in there, having a good time the night before, trying to like dial in the last couple plays. Yeah. So if I can find any nuggets, I'll post it in there. But I don't got anything.
I like that call, and
how about let me throw one in? If you're looking at like a younger guy, what about that Davis Riley at 6,700, guys, right in that same range? I mean, he's a Corn Ferry guy that has, he's played a couple tournaments and hasn't fared, like he would want. But if you're looking at maybe a young guy, an up and comer, he hasn't been able to do it yet on tour, but at 6,700, right in that range, man, gun that you're talking about, Davis Riley might not be a bad guy to sprinkle in.
Yeah, the other thing that Snyder mentions a lot about these Corn Ferry guys is they're guys that are just always shooting for that pin. And like, this is a great track to be shooting for the pin, right? Because of the smaller greens. One reason I like to typically play Benny on these type of courses, even though he's not here, is because he's so bad with the putter and he's such a great guy to get it on the green. There's less room for him to make a mistake. So if he's going to be trying to hit those darts like those Corn Ferry guys, I'll have to ask Snyder more about some Davis Riley. But if you're on him and say Snyder says he likes him, I might have to get a little sprinkles of him in there.
Yeah, because you're gonna like you said though, you're gonna have to play a couple 6K guys. You're not gonna be able to completely fade the 8 and 9K range. I just don't think you're gonna be able to do it. There's no way I don't think you can get there. So I do think you're gonna have to play a couple of these guys and at least get one guy in that 8K range to go with a 7K range or however the build goes.
I got you. I think for me, guys, like I think I'm gonna lean on Chesson Hadley, my boy. Going with course history here. Let's first off, if you haven't done so yet, press that like button, press that subscribe button. It helps us, to keep this show free. And, we'll have it each week on Tuesdays. We also have partnered with Monkey Knife Fight. Go over there. We post our PGA plays in our Discord. Use the code RUNPEER to get signed up with Monkey Knife Fight. We got that going for NBA right now. We got that going for PGA right now. It's a ton of fun. But guys, let's get to our winners. Going how we've been doing it is we just, we pick a guy. It doesn't matter who it is. Just it can be a safe play. Like Brooks Koepka, surprisingly, was my safe option last week, 45-1. And then we always pick a dark horse, like a long shot. So, Uncle T, do you have your winners all lined up?
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, I think we're going to see a first-time winner on tour this week, and I'm going to go with $9,900 Will Zalatoris. I just think that even though he's only played a handful of tournaments, guys, I think this kid's talented. And again, in a field like this, it's not loaded up top. I think he could clearly come out on top, and I really like Will Zalatoris up top. My cheaper guy, I'm torn. I got two guys in the 8K range, and I got to decide on one. And I think I'm going to go with Matt Jones down there at 8,100. I've got him about 75-1. Is that low enough for you? Matt Jones, I think, could be a guy that could contend if he gets it together this week.
I like those calls quite a bit. Mangone, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, am I allowed to play the same guy as Uncle T? Like
absolutely, Mangone. Come on in.
Let's get in there, man. I'm gonna jump in with you.
Yeah.
Go arm in arm and take
winners
this thing
win,
down.
Mangone.
So let's get on the winner. I like Zalatoris a lot. He was one of my guys that I was looking at. And I was, again, I don't know, I know he's a great golfer and the up and comer. I didn't realize feel like he's a lot sneakier off the tee than I noticed, at least lengthwise, which again, I think can help him. And he's just such a great second shot golfer and he can be hitting those darts and he's been playing so well. So Mr. Will Zalatoris is my guy. The cheaper guy or the longer shot, right? I'm going to go with Brandon Steele. Now, you can get him at some books 65-1. You can get him 50-1. Again, it's not like this 125-1 guy, but I think Brandon Steele is definitely someone to look at. So give me him at that 50-1 price, 65-1.
That was my other 8K guy, Mangone. So me and Mangone on the same ship this week. I love it.
Gotta love to be right next to a knee house. I'm excited.
I like it. So we're going to go back to back this week, and my safe guy is in the 40-1 range again. And I could be looking at old odds. I don't know if they've adjusted. Mangone, maybe you have them up and you can correct me. But my safe guy, Max Homa. He's won on the PGA Tour before. I think he's going to make this. I think it would be his second time if he can pull it off. I love his course history here. I think the course just sets up really well for him. He's 4 made cuts in a row. I'm going to probably lock him into a ton of my lineups, and I think he's going to get it done for us. My longer shot is another guy who his game is very similar to Max Homa, where he thrives on these shorter courses, and it's Doug Gim. I think he is 110-1. I don't know. Do you have the odds up right now?
Yeah, I have the bookmaker ones. I can't get on the other sites because I'm on Zoom.
Yeah, I'm looking at
I see 90-1 on Gim, and I saw 41 on Homa, but you can chop that. I'm sure 10 spots each way. But I love that, man. The Gim Reaper, right? He's a guy who's treated me pretty well,
sir.
So I like that call. He can hit some darts, and he definitely has a tour win coming in the next year or two for sure.
He does. Mangone, let's finish with our final thoughts. What do you do? Are you dialing it back? Are you playing normal, normal amount of bankroll? Are you going more cash games, tournaments? What are your final thoughts this week?
Yeah, I'll admit, this has not been my best tournament in the history of DFS when I played PGA, but I think it's because of that Pro-Am, man. I never get excited about it. It's 3 courses I never can get excited about either. I hate that cut, but now that it's the 2-course scene, and we're gonna have it just the cut normal, I'm kind of more excited about it. I feel like that's hurt my research process. When I hear it's the Pro-Am, I never kind of dive in as deep, and I definitely have dove deeper into this one. And I think I'm still gonna go decently on the cash game stuff. I want to see how some of this stuff shakes out, but listen, I think there could be a lot of people on similar type of builds at the top because you cut out a guy like Dustin Johnson. So don't be afraid to maybe get a different, don't get too different, right? You don't have to get crazy different, but make sure that you're looking to maybe get, if everyone's on the same path, let's say everyone's on that Berger and Zalatoris path, which I think could be the path that it could be like 60% or 80% in cash or on. Don't be afraid to just make one change. Maybe move a Zalatoris to like a Jason Day, and it just gives you a little bit of a different build. And that could be the difference in a single entry between like having a nice cash and getting like 100th place in that single entry. It still does well, or maybe hitting that nice little, first place in there. So be sure to do that and check out all the stuff we have at Run Pure Sports. We got NASCAR this week, NBA. I mean, NFL might be gone, but we have all the content you need for only one price at $80 a month. Use the code WORKBENCH21 for 25% off your first payment.
I like it, man. What about you, Uncle T?
Yeah.
Give me your final thoughts.
Yeah, it's going to be similar volume for me this week. I'm not backing off at all. I know it's a lesser field, and people want to play golf. I'm going to play the same amount that I have been playing. So, man, go and hit it on the nail, though. You check out our playbook, check out our core plays, because we're going to get in there and find some winners for the people this week. We've seen a lot of RPS tags and logos as far as up on the leaderboards the last couple of weeks, and we're going to continue. So I like that. And then next week, guys, just a quick preview real quick. Riviera Country Club at one of my favorite courses next week, and defending champion Adam Scott. So we'll get to that next week. But again, good streak of tournaments coming up, and can't wait to break them down with you guys every week. Good to have you in too, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. So for me, normal volume week, I actually like this week quite a bit. I think it's a weaker field. We typically see these be a little bit more volatile, but I usually try to get on a narrative or two. And this week I'm going to lean on course history. And I think that's going to be a theme that you see, outside of a guy like Gim. But that's what I'm definitely going to lean on this week. So boys, with that, we can wrap it up. Everyone out there, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. If you haven't signed up yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go ahead and sign up. Workbench 21. Man, we're running Pier like we're sitting good in NBA right now. Try not to get distracted or anything like that. But with that, let's run Pier this week, guys. And members, check out the core plays. We'll have it up on Wednesday. Playbook will be up Wednesday morning. And we'll all be in chat and Discord, and we'll be finding the winners. So for me, AP, Uncle T, Mangone, let's all run Pier this week, guys.
Winners win.